All right. 2021 is almost coming to a close. It's Thursday. I think it's Thursday, the 30th. Got 2 days left, and then this year gonna be all she wrote, man. Hope you guys had a solid 2021. We're gonna look forward to a good 2022. Do a little boxing video, maybe a couple. We'll see how it go. What are the fights to look out for next year? Let's say maybe top 10 fights people would want to watch. Maybe I would say probably Terrence Crawford, Earl Spence is probably number one fight that people would want to see next year. 2, I probably would say Canelo Benavidez. That's pretty good. Fury and Usyk. I think that's a really good fight. Heavyweight undisputed. We haven't had an undisputed heavyweight champ since Lewis, I believe. And that was in the 3-belt era. It's another good one. Better be of Bivol. 2 best light heavyweights. Middleweights, probably say Charlo and Andrade. 54, got Charlo Castaño. I'm hearing they're going to have a rematch maybe May of next year coming, hopefully. So that looks like that one's underway. I'm trying to think of another fight people would want to watch. Oh, Kambosos versus either Lomachenko or Devin Haney. Personally, I like to see Devin Haney just because it'd be nice to see him get his opportunity on that stage. But it sounds like Lomachenko might be the one to get it, but we'll see. See what happens. I'm trying to think of another top 10-ish. That's what, lightweight. Who's at 130? Oh, Oscar Valdez, Shakur Stevenson. That's a good one. Maybe maybe Gary Russell versus Navarrete. That's a pretty good fight, but that's a crossover, so I probably won't happen. Boxing seems determined not to give us the fights that fans actually want. You can just go by the pay-per-view numbers that we've had. And pretty much all November, December fights were either on pay-per-view or disclosed network. The Zone is a subscription base, so you still got to pay for it. Canelo Plant, that was on pay-per-view. Jake Paul's last fight with Woodley, that was pay-per-view. Tank in his last fight, that was pay-per-view. These are not even pay-per-view fights, to be honest. I don't think people mind pay-per-view as long as kind of like a rare. Pay-per-view should be like the Super Bowl. It's like it should be a one-time type of deal. And then on top of that, it shouldn't even be that, 60, 70, 80 bucks. That's a lot. You talk about Mike Tyson, who's a bigger star than anyone current in boxing, and his pay-per-views were $50. And I get it, inflation and whatnot. But the quality of fights is not even there. You had to have decent undercards on Mike Tyson's fights. You can barely get good cards now. But I think boxing has to do a better job of giving the fights the fans actually are asking. Like Earl Spence, Ugas. That's a cool fight. I'm not shitting on Ugas. He's a good fighter. And the fight itself is not bad. I don't think it'll be a bad fight. I don't think it'll be boring with Earl Spence and Ugas, but we want to see Earl versus Terrence for a multitude of reasons. One, they've been linked together for the last, 3.5 years? Whoever side you roll with, whether you're a Bud fan, or Earl fan, or just a boxing fan, that fight is getting past due. Nobody wants to do the Mayweather-Pacquiao, let's wait 5-6 years to make the fight. One, I think is actually losing some steam because, people don't know about how Earl Spence is going to hold up. Earl Spence went through a car accident in 2019. He had an injury in 2020. He hadn't fought since, what was it? I'm sorry, he had an accident in 2019 right after his fight. He had an injury in this camp that he was supposed to fight Pacquiao. And, that little video clip that came out that was pretty public, he didn't do so well in the sparring. That's how he got his eye messed up. So, people could do the what if, should have, could have, would have in terms of, what Ugas was able to do to Pacquiao, which was definitely a surprise. I thought it'd be competitive, but I didn't think Ugas would beat Pacquiao, let alone the way he, convincingly did it. Pacquiao kind of got old overnight, but he also fought a style that's always been troubling him, and that's a good counterpuncher. Ugas is definitely that. He's a hell of a counterpuncher. And Earl Spence, he's going to have to face that because, the injuries, the car accident, him kind of big for the division, so people think he kind of weight draining. He hasn't knocked anybody out in, 3 years? Part of that is because his competition's gone up, but also he's slowing down in the division. Not to mention he don't live a boxing clean lifestyle. So you put that all into account, it taints the fight a little bit. People are already starting to take credit away from Crawford should that fight ever happen. So I think that's why people are kind of mad that Spence and Ugas is fighting. It's not that we disdain Ugas. It's more of we don't know how much of Earl is left at 147. So, why marinate some more? And, the thing about the car accident is that it was his fault. He was drinking and driving, and allegedly he was getting chased. So we'll see what happens, we did get undisputed. We had some good things in 2021. Canelo undisputed versus Caleb Plant. Per usual, scorecards were terrible. But the fight was cool, though. The fight wasn't half bad. It was okay. Canelo win by knockout. It's probably around what I thought it was going to happen. It happened, round 11? So a hair later than I thought it would. Plus, he knocked out Billy Joe Saunders. I don't think anyone was mad at that. Billy Joe been kind of the heel of 160 and 168, so, I think people are kind of happy that Billy Joe got knocked out. We certainly had an upset of the year with Kambosos beating Teofimo Lopez. He's trying to get a fight in Australia, which, I ain't mad at him. Big fight in his home country. I don't think they're shut down with the COVID stuff. I think they're still open. But that's obviously subject to change, especially this time of year. But, just have to wait and see what happens. So we did have a couple of good fights in 2021. Fulton, Figueroa, that was a really good fight. Charlo Castaño early in the year, that was a really good fight. Just had better Bia Brown on paper. That was a decent fight. And actually, it wasn't half bad. It was entertaining. Taylor Ramirez, that was undisputed at 140. So we had some good things in boxing this year. But in terms of the, like I said, pay-per-view, Super Bowl, atmosphere-like event, boxing could do better. Wilder Fury, that was amazing. Wilder definitely had a Rocky Balboa-esque performance. Definition of warrior, guerrero, game, all that. Mad heart, and he showed flashes of of improvement, especially the first round. But Tyson Fury just is a beast. Dude can box, he can fight. He's a problem. We'll see what he does next year. I'm not sure what he's going to do with the Dillian White situation. I think they're in negotiations, kind of. Tyson Fury's very he's kind of a quirky dude, so you don't really know. But I don't mind it. Take a tune up with Dillian White and then fight Usyk, AJ winner. You know, if AJ can get the belts, then shit, you gotta call him the comeback kid. If not, then Usyk could have a repeat performance. Usyk's an excellent fighter in his own right, so that's not going to be easy for AJ. AJ got to commit to being come forward. That's his best chance to beat Usyk. You know, apologize for the video being kind of all over the place, kind of just recapping 2021. But yeah, I would say the top 10 fights for next year, just to go over it one more time. I would say Spence and Bud, AJ Usyk, Canelo Benavidez, better be of Bivol, Charlo Andrade, Charlo Castaño, Kambosos, Lomachenko or Haney, Navarrete versus Gary Russell, that'd be nice. Shakur, Oscar Valdez, that's a really good fight too. Maybe Stephen Fulton versus what's my man's name? What's the brother's name? I think it's Aleem. He got like the WBA interim belt, and those are probably the top fights to make next year. Hopefully, we can get at least half of them. It's boxing, so you gotta cross your fingers. But let me know what you guys think. What are the fights you guys are looking forward to this year, next year, 2022? How's your 2021? Need somebody to talk to or just chat it up? Hit the comment section and stay tuned. Take it easy.